some wet wine.
That's hilarious. That's the first thing she said.
There's some really whack wine.
I doubt that highly. Who are you? What's your name? What do you do?
I'm Breeze Brewin. I'm in a group called the Juggaknots. I've been rhyming professionally, I guess 20, no, is it 20? That's 27 years? No, it's more than that professionally. Maybe 28 years, 29 years.
I think it's time we had a little man-to-man talking. I heard that you was hand-to-hand walking down the boulevard, middle of the date with this black chick. Tell me the truth, boy, or you can catch this slap. Get this straight, you're ranting and raving, behaving like a mad dog with rabies because my baby's not white. That ain't right. Pops, you got me puzzled because in the past with the black folks you never struggled, at least to my knowledge.
Yeah. It's definitely like a little bit of brainstorming, but a lot more of what I thought was acceptable compositions. And in certain times it got very acceptable.
Okay.
But there's a lot of revision. I'll say that.
In these particular notebooks?
Than I have now, because it's like I do so much brainstorming now. It's just easier to. And after so much time, it's just less need for revision. But
would you say that's just because you've been doing it long enough that you kind of?
I think I had less methods. Like honestly, It was just like I wrote it. So like for these joints, like you don't like where does the rhyme start? Where does the beat drop? Like there's a lot of things here that like it would have had to be me at the time saying it over and over to know like, all right, this drops on the 1. Or this drops on the 4 right before the beat comes around.
Right.
There's no notation for that.
Right.
And honestly, for what it's worth, it made a lot of this shit a lot more freeform, you know?
Okay.
Which is good in certain places, and then in other places it's, you know, if you can't get it to reproduce even that wild freeform thing, you know, it's like you don't want to spit a rhyme and every time you spit it, it sounds a little different.
Right.
I mean, a little different's fine, but not to the point, not rhythmically.
Right. More maybe tones and things like that.
You know, so.
So how would you describe your process then? Because you keep saying like brainstorming.
Brainstorming is really, really important. Just looking at this before, you know, I just got to kiss a lot of frogs in this shit. You know? It's a lot of frogs. And, you know, to some extent, you know, that still goes on, but it's easier with the brainstorming process. I'll be clear, I'm not prolific.
Not prolific meaning what?
I'm not like there's dudes I know. No, I'm just saying in general. It's like, thank God people still run with me. And
I strongly disagree.
And I mean, I've written hundreds of verses, so let me be clear. But there's dudes who write thousands of verses. You know what I mean?
Okay.
And it's just like there's a lot of reasons for that. I mean, one is like I have a limited amount of time set aside for the art form. Right. And there was a time. This time, I had all the time in the world.
What songs were in there? Because I think we might have talked about it, but didn't document it.
Jive Talk.
you spraying niggas mean saliva, messy slobbering. From my Timmy's when you test.
I had time to do this, you know.
Right.
A little while I wasn't a father. When I wasn't a father, I had no responsibilities. I was either in school, with a deal, so I didn't need a job.
Right.
Like literally, we used to take money out of the budget and be like, all right, this is your money for the week, and this is all I had to do. And that's why you have stacks and stacks of these laying around.
Right. These books to the side, those are all filled.
These are new joints.
Okay.
It's a totally different method.
Okay, so let's talk about it. So what's the difference in methodology between the old school black and white marble versus the spiral? Because you could tell from the spiral that that's new. Well,
yeah. I mean, you got this and then you got this. So, I mean, the methods throughout, 32 years have definitely, they've been refined. And again, that's good and bad. You know what I mean? Because it's like, obviously, I have no problem counting bars. But I wanted to break it down even further. So like, let me count these beats. So, a bar became 1, 2, 3, 4. So for a while, I literally would, like draw lines on a paper. So there was 1, 2, 3, 4. And then after a while, I didn't need the lines and I just used the numbers 1, 2, 3, 4. I would indicate like if it was a 1 and then you shouldn't have heard nothing. Like that was like if there's silence in there, I would circle it.
Of ghetto grammar, I be sorta like the hammer to the jag, you the mag to the huffy. You're looking like Scruffy when he tail chasing with your stale tasting bomb hops. My dime drops you, that's my final offer for some microphone stops. That be like the clone pies of the buck to the Glock to the tech to the kill. The buck to the Glock to the tech to the kill. Catching dizzy spells as I wonder is he hell's landlord. I'm bad boy, the same musical chance game, the filling the seats, but the skill in the beats have stopped.
I would just do little things so that my timing, I would understand it.
Got you.
I'm as much a fan as I am my own, whatever, as an artist.
Right.
I don't know how you could not be too, but that's, that's a whole nother conversation.
Right.
So hearing other people's stuff.
Right.
I mean, I've written other people's verses and put in the numbers just because I was like, damn, what the hell? Like,
you're crazy.
Like, I've written, like,
you're such a baby.
I've done that, and it's just like, oh, snap. Like, look how he freaked that.
Right.
And it's like, it's on beat here and off beat there, and it's just like.
That's why you're amazing, man.
And it makes you wonder, like, well, what you could do. But, in regards to, once you get that matrix, that grid.
Right. Good word for it.
The patterns become much easier to see. Like, I had patterns in here.
Right.
But they weren't, they were far less purposeful.
Oh, okay. Mm-hmm.
And that's still dope, honestly.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, there's people who only love what I did in the first album. And shout out to y'all.
Y'all know about them wild niggas, devil child niggas, happy kick the bucket, say fuck it and smile niggas. The type to catch the Buddha bus, slide up to the fuzz, saying officer run your shotty before I catch his body. I knew this nigga smoky, sorta like this pistol barrel when you're apparel and shit like that was wanted. But later that would die down, sorta like many abandoned that he read with. This block fence sorta haunted.
What's the difference for you between your approach on writing a freestyle verse, just some regular rhyme stuff, versus a conceptual song?
Topics are so much easier.
Topics are easier than freestyles.
Topics are so much easier because it's just like, I mean, for the cats who talk about the same thing in every song, people knock them. You know, they're talking about drugs, they're talking about girls, they're talking about, you know, whatever. They talk about money. I take my hat off to them because for you to continue to go at the same topic over and over and different approaches, like, you know, the humanity in me is like, yo, I would love to have him, you know, write a song about a sunset. You know
Right.
That'd be dope. You know what I mean? But if that's your wheelhouse, by all means. You know, coming up, I was lucky enough that people saw a balance between my shit talking and my storytelling. But as you get older, it's just like,
right.
I mean,
it's about inflammation.
Like, yo, man,
black seed oil.
You know what I mean? My turmeric moving thick. You know what I mean? Like, what am I going to talk about?
Right.
It's just like, and that might end up in a verse.
Yeah.
Because honestly, that's, you know, that's what it is. But it's just like, I really enjoy quiet. I enjoy, you know, but it's a challenge.
Yeah.
It's a challenge. And what happens is in those, you know, those freestyle verses, they end up being less about me and more environmental and more societal, and that's fine. And it's just haphazard, but it's so much less about me. You know what I mean?
What's your favorite verse ever? Of everything you've written, what is your favorite verse?
That's so hard to say, man. I mean, the Trouble Man verse is up there.
Damn it to hell is it, I feel my brain swell like meningitis with the slightest my emotion giving me the notion that I got it bad. I think I got a brain tumor, such a pain. I analyze the strain and then understand it to see what's planted. That shit is ill, but still the thought I'm loving. Got the dome growing with the biscuit in the oven, shoving nothing but the nutrients. My diet to support me, a whiff of the spliff, a guzzle of the 40 to inspire fire thought. To the mic there was marriage, causing competition, verbal miscarriage of the mental fetus. Read us with the rugged rhythm, then I'm showing. I think I feel my water breaking, thus I'm flowing. Timing my contractions, concentrating on my breathing, heaving curses at the father, yes the phone. Cause if I fuck my shit ain't living, pushing, giving every bit of what I'm worth. And at the boom and drop the lyrical, the miracle of birth.
This random verses they catch.
From former I wanters to becoming a bummin', to that never respectable, hella receptacle for something. Sleazy little Molly, probably easier than Harley. Hobby maker ovens, cake is coming out, you gotta take a nut and hey it's nothing. As long as she get to take a puffin' as a chaser cousin. Molly ain't for fussin', but bustin', really game sloppy, y'all. See that dame is Molly Moore, swerving as she juice cruise when she getting abused, dude. Maybe Molly planning for something like Molly Shannon. Hear her talking, she a superstar. Be for real, that stupid broad just to ski funny. Forever that ass too dusted, but best believe honey is ready for bathroom bustin'. Harley Molly ring war on some pretty in pink. Are you kidding me? Think another image like Molly's chin. Balls a good combination. Now we talking a winner, and that's off in the center of wildhood conversation. Hey yo, I send this to all of my corporate corpses, trying to abort the thoughts of coming out wildin'. Dumbing out time to off the office, I was surely sort of twisted. Worked at a TV studio and audio assistant. Easy, do my duty, though at times was in a mean mood. How'd I gotta be cool, I was on the brink of fiends, drool. Living at the green room, made a brother the same color but beyond neon. Pushing me to pee on, barking the dreams to be gone. Turning to the talent and many they haven't any. Was especially a challenge when he be like, God damn it, can he hear his vocal? As he cuffing it, how my mic sound. Thinking on the low is perfect when he put the mic down. Clown stand steady, grilling wanting. Just do your duties. I'm about as insecure as you're the immature. What you got is cooties telling me felony foul. Your style's forever blind, acidic. You're raining, pouring, ignoring my pain like how's the weather, whatever. I want therapy from Ron Jeremy on intimacy. Fuck her other than when you're intimate. See you later. Be for the greater good for sure. Using you then cruising through your neighborhood for whores. DeLorean with story and flip to the past, back to the future, back to recruit for some masters. Nowadays.
I thought the verse on Wait, that verse, I had to go heavy. Because I really thought, you go out, you rhyme with like Titans. I rhyme with the first, Find What You Burn was such a big record and it was, a dope verse. But, I thought L and Just and Trez, I thought, I think these motherfuckers got me. And, it's on the eye of the beholder, and it's like you don't want to compare one to the other to apples or oranges. Yeah. But everybody was dope on that record.
Fucking with a nigga like myself, you learn fair. Laverne's gear shows your record, so unless the host butt naked, use a loser. The crap should've kept it to your lonesome, but you like, look everybody out the silly microphone crumb. You want attention, me, I flaunt attention vocally. First team or university, while your squad is benching locally. Don't mention jokingly.
But there's a lot of them, man. It's like love moving the change verse. Like that's the thing, man. Like it's its own reward. You know what I mean? I'm not a millionaire. I don't have a million followers, this, that, and the third. But as far as my contribution to the craft, I don't think no one could doubt it.
Right.
Could never doubt. Like, this dude kind of cares about this art form. And will continue to care. And, I'm trying to be more productive. And somewhere along the line, it just got to the point where there was almost no brainstorming and no composition, and I got stuck, and it was.
What do you do in those moments?
I won't let it happen no more. But at the time, I didn't have this mindset. And the mindset I have now is production over perfection.
Production over perfection.
Because perfection is a lot, and it's like even for those verses you asked for my favorite verses, like there's things I could have done differently here and there, and it's like. Perfection, we could, you could use it as a, some type of inspiration and something, a catalyst in some way, but you can't be a slave to it.
Right.
And now I use my methods and I push through, even if it means a whack verse. Mm-hmm. There's usually, even in a whack verse, there's usually like a half a bar you can salvage.
For sure, yeah.
So it's like, if you care about the art form, one, you're getting out of a rut, and there's something later that you can somehow recycle or repurpose.
So you don't believe in writer's block?
Not no more. Mm-hmm. There's just too many ways to approach it. There's too many methods, and it's helped me. Like honestly, I've been more fruitful of late. And we'll see. Like when the music comes out, if people feels like, yo, that's still Breeze, cool. If people is like, yo, I ain't feeling it, that's cool too. At the end of the day, it's just like I'm just doing what I can to add to, this art form that I feel is extremely important and doesn't get its credit as a liberator and as a unifier in this country. And it's just. It allows for opportunities of excellence, and in a lot of cases, black excellence, and excellence in general.
Sure.
And I don't feel it gets its credit. I think hip hop is, it's the glue. It's been the glue to the society, and not without its issues.
Sure, like everything else.
Yeah, but when you do look at the positives and how it has made people more aware of classical musicians, if we're talking production. Of poets, of words, of politics, of history, of hidden history.
the lesson of today. The cavalry, right? Not quite. Yeah. So better late than never. Check it out, yo. Listen, hey yo. The driving me batty, daddy surviving, be seeming slim and screaming women put it down. Could the sound be more annoying, be for the joy and the love of my kid. I wanna like split boys and must up and noise the cussing the shorties, you naughty, you need slaps. House produce child abuse, speed traps. Get so stressed, be on the holiday season. Stay season, parents off balance, all dreaming to choke Jeffrey Giraffe neck. I laugh, check Barbies on.
You know, if anything is being underutilized, when we talk about things like, abuse to females, or misogyny, or abuse against LGBTQ. Like, there should be more songs about that. There should be more songs about Trump. There should be more songs about the environment. There should be more songs about everything, because this particular art form, we know the power it has, and I feel like it's definitely being underutilized. So, some purists will say, yo, I only use pen and pad, this and that. Like, that'd be great, wonderful. But, I'm on a run a lot,
right.
So between the teaching and the kids and, whatever, and trying to stay healthy, it's like, you hate to put it to, if you're going to set up a totem pole, it's rarely at the top, if I get a couple of days, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But it's always there. If it's not there, then you just shouldn't do it. Like, in my case, I feel like it's kind of an invasive species.
Mm-hmm.
Like, honestly,
break that
like,
down.
wherever,
mm-hmm.
So if whatever, you set up a garden, whatever, and it's basically, if things are going well, the ideas will always creep in. So I got regular notebooks here.
Great metaphor, yeah.
And it's like, some of them were for school, for work. So you have joints in here with lesson plans and whatever. And then, but then there's a rhyme. And then you have another thing where it's like, finances, there's a rhyme. So it's just like, it always finds a way to pick up. And then if the space clears out, there's a lot of gathering, foraging for the shit.
Mm-hmm.
So I go through our forage, and then that shit will become, I have like one file which is just the gather for these dates to these dates, and I'll have them, and then once the joints become rhymes, I delete them. So I have a whole file, like 10-page Word doc of gathered shit.
Yeah.
And then it's like that, okay, cool, that became the first 2 bars of this verse, and that became this to this verse. So then it's, the worst thing is when you have an idea and you forget that shit. But it's crazy though, because sometimes they come back.
Yeah.
But I've lost, I've found more than I've lost. But when you lost it, it's like, damn, you feel like you really, lost something. But I have different methods now. So let's talk about that.
Let's talk about the methods, yeah.
So this right here, this is just literally the alphabet. So I try to read as much as I can. So right now I'm reading What Doesn't Kill You Makes You Blacker, Damon Young. Shit is funny as hell. It's, I guess it's memoirs. I like shit like that because it's short. And you'd be surprised, man. So many of these dudes who are good writers now, I mean, Ta-Nehisi Coates, like this brother right here, Damon Young, like these cats came up on hip hop. Mm-hmm. So you actually hear it in their writing.
Right.
They'll make references to shit that, we would make references to. And they come up in similar eras, crack era, Reaganomics. So these cats are end up writing and giving you a damn good conversation with often a high level vocabulary. So I got my A words.
So so break down, what's the alphabet? What does that mean?
I mean, whenever I hear a word I like when I'm reading, I just write it down.
Oh, so you actually compile your own, it's like your own dictionary kind of.
Yeah, words that I think, but the potential to be fly-ass words.
Right. So things that like jump out sonically.
Shit that roll like
avarice,
or
what's the
a
word?
vow, or acrimonious.
You said avarice.
Avarice.
Okay.
You know, that's a fly-ass word.
Right.
Audacious.
Sound like somebody's a chick you met.
You know, befitting. You know, boulder dash.
Right.
Beget, besmirch. Like,
yeah.
Besmirch got to be in a rhyme.
Absolutely. I will
besmirch you.
Right.
You know, buxom, bombast. You know, so you know,
that's awesome.
You just run through it. You know, and you'd be surprised some of the dope ass words, and you know, words become. You know, they have rhythm. Gregarious is I mean, anything around gregarious, it's just gonna sound hard as shit.
It's just a dope word.
You know? So
so that becomes a reference point.
So this is my joint. So this is like the specialization.
Okay.
So then I have this is supposed to be like a journal.
Okay.
And this is good because it's just like, it's a journal.
How often do you find yourself journaling?
Maybe twice a week. It should be more. But once again, invasive species.
The rhymes creep in.
Niggas come through. They come through. They don't. They're like, I should be around here, and that's cool. I don't fight it. You know what I mean? But I know that the actual idea is supposed to be to just brainstorm on a bigger level. Just like, what the fuck am I feeling about today? Right. And then this was a student of mine. I'm not gonna say her name because whatever but she wrote one word in her journal and then she stopped. So that became I will recycle you. So what I do with this bad boy is I'll write. This is where you might see some of the folded papers. So these folded papers. This is 1, 2, 3, 4. So it's one, and it's easy. It's one. You can't. I don't know if y'all can see.
Yeah, I don't know if they can see it, but I see.
1, 2, 3, 4. I'll do an example of how to bust. How to get ready to do that. So you just fold it once, and then you fold it twice. And that's it. And that's your 1, 2, 3, 4.
So that sets up your bar structure.
Yep. So bars, cool. Boom, 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 boom. And there's some pages that aren't folded that end up being more like brainstorming, and then you'll see pages with numbers on them. Right. Because I still have that. Right. So that's kind of what's the method. But all of these, not all of these is supposed to be rhyme books, but everything's a rhyme book. Yeah. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like that's what you do. That's what you do. So here is. I don't even know if I want to put this out there.
It looks like an official rubric, my man.
This shit is called the Matrix, right here. Okay. So this is so you don't get stuck.
Okay.
I just show it real quick.
Quick, my G. This is a Breeze Brewin. So this is soon coming out curriculum formulated plan that he owns called the Matrix.
I saw a tweet the other day that said a dude said if you got to be careful about giving them the sauce, you probably don't have that much sauce.
Oh wow.
So honestly, it's like
that's a good one.
So it's broken down to content, flow, and rhymes. Okay. So content, I have meaning, word families. I have one of yours as an example. Murphy's Law, experience Murphy's Law. That's my example. Thanks. So man. I have the meaning.
I made it into the matrix.
I have the meaning, and then I have like little either definition or example. Mm-hmm. So this is just like when I'm stuck or when I'm gathering, I can look at the gather and be like, yo, is this a word family thing? Is this an entendre thing? Is this a figure of speech thing? Can I get more out of it? Can I attach illusion to it? And then this word deconstruction. And I got my own example on there. Abstain, he thinking jelly on her belly. It's coming soon. And then just straight dope words. Imagery, so that's part of content. flow. It's like patterns, spacing, repetition. Repetition is an important part of flow. Then continuation, the ever very powerful enjambment. Look it up. ENJAMBMENT. Nerd shit. Cadence. All that shit is stuff I'll consider. And then it's then rhymes. You know what I mean? It's like, do we go with the 2s and the 4s? Do you do 1s and 4s? Talk about syllable variation, parallel rhyming, where I can have literally the same syllable for an entire bar.
Yeah.
Or it might be a beat, or it might be 2 beats. And I got bookend patterns, inner rhyme, outer rhyme, word bending, non-rhyming shit. So when I get stuck, I look at this and I'm like, well, what's the possibilities with these words? Now, this may be extremely non-sexy. You might be, this right here is the cold shower of rhyming. If that's what it is for you, I don't know. I'm sorry. I'm not trying to give nobody a cold shower.
I think it's awesome. I'm wondering, because I'm just watching. First of all, you are the mad scientist, and I mean that in every complimentary way.
You know, we grew up, you know, you and I and Kev, we grew up in the Northeast Bronx, and it was very competitive, and it was just like, you know, you'd go out, or you'd stay on the block and catch rhyming, and you always, you know, you could test your material, and, you know.
Yeah, that's one of my questions is like, so where did the inspiration come for you to even, but forget just the process of writing. Where was the process of like inspiration? Was it environment? Was it someone specific? Was it who you were on the block with? Was it people out rhyming? Like, how did you start wanting to write?
It begins and ends with the music. Like, some people like, I want to do it. I want to become money. I want to get money. I want to get girls and this and that. And I felt like, you know, that could come or not. Regardless, you know, I needed to sound a certain way. I wanted to sound like the music that I loved. Okay. The music that I loved, I just wanted to add to it.
Okay.
And I always just loved words. I love poems. All of that shit was just shit I dug.
That was another thing. So I was wondering, before you even started writing rhymes, can you pinpoint, like, something came to mind for me with Daddy, like, that he used to do. But I was wondering, like, was there a relationship with writing before writing rhymes, just the idea of writing, period?
Well, I mean, it's not like I had journals or nothing. I didn't do nothing. You know, I was good in school. I always liked poetry. I like stories.
Didn't Daddy used to have you and Kev do papers, though, in the summer on, like, books, articles, and hours?
I mean, my pops used to take the New York Times science section.
That's what it was. Okay.
And he would just give us articles, and he would ask us to read it and rewrite the gist of the New York Times science section.
So summarize.
And I was like 8 or 9.
Gotta love it.
And it was like, I remember even then getting freaked out by words, because I remember it was like tissue cells. I remember the word tissue cells, and I'm like, so I'm looking at tissues, I'm like, tissue cells? What are you talking about?
Right.
So that made me go and look in the dictionary. I'm like, oh, so actually, like, our body's made up of little sections called cells, and our actual skin is something called tissue. So even then, it was like the wordplay. I mean, there's just so much possibility, you know, with wordplay that I think has never gone away, because it's just like you hear the words, and I still use it.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah.
I wrote a joint the other day where it was like more harm. Too much. I'm looking at the phone.
Oh, see, and that was the thing. How it's different now.
Let's get to the modern day.
Modern day.
Now I wrote, and to be honest, I brainstormed this on in a notebook.
Okay.
But this is more like the publishing level.
So you still went to the notebook first?
Yeah. So I said, more trauma, mood is dire. It's time. Gotta be no calm and too much rider and camaraderie. So no calm. And too much rider and camaraderie.
Got you.
So it's just like you take the words and you break them down and you pull them apart. You hear calm and camaraderie. You hear rider and camaraderie. And it's like you make your point by taking a word and just chopping it up.
Sure.
But that, it could have started then. Delivery is important, man, and you could cover a lot of that with how you set your rhyme up. You don't have to limit yourself, even like the limitations of breathing. You really don't have to worry about that. You could set it up. You could be like, you could set up 2 tracks. I'm gonna put a word here, and I'll put, I can't get this word in. Like, I used to try to get the whole verse in one. And I've done it, but I'm not going to let that limit.
Right.
Like, the product is what's most important.
Sure.
So it's not like whether or not I can go. It's not like a holding your breath on a water contest. Like, for the dudes who can't do it, and I have I've pretty good breath control for, it's so crazy how many asthmatics have the breath control thing down.
Right.
March is asthmatic. I'm asthmatic. There's a lot of dudes who have that issue and just find ways around it. But it's placement, like you could grab a breath really quickly, and it's almost on rhythm so that they wouldn't hear it.
So it still goes back to the setup.
Yeah, like you could write rhymes with that in mind. Like I do write rhymes with I'm not gonna be able to say that because after you start saying in your head a couple times, like it's pretty tight. And even you could see the congestion in certain areas, like depending on written, you could see it. Like, oh man, it's really hard to fit more than 4 syllables in each beat.
Yeah.
So if you have 4 syllables in each beat, it would end up being 16th notes. So 16th note hi-hat, like quarter notes are. 16th notes are like. And we've heard cats da 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 da.
Yeah, absolutely.
We've heard cats do that.
Yeah, for sure.
But it's like it definitely doesn't have to do that the whole time. So it's good in small doses. But you see it after you
That's interesting.
cut your pages into your 4 things. Like I got 4 in there, and I've heard dudes do up to 6. Double time and all that. Triplets. But it's just like. And then, and honestly, even production-wise, that should help me, like, see the possibilities.
Yeah.
I'm still learning that,
Sure. That's a whole nother segment.
But it's connected.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, some of these producers who are MCs, I'm pretty sure some of that goes into their mind. And some dudes who write rhymes and then later become producers, I think they, probably easier for them. But,
what about pain?
As far as pain, emotion is real key.
It got real with hot steel coming in, cutting and jigging, digging deeper, aching, keep awaking. The rest is long, but goddamn it, the pressure's strong. Fucking pain clutching my brain, touching the veins, arteries bleeding heavily. Part of me leaving steadily, getting harder to breathe, and yet I'll be still alive. I'ma make it, I will survive. I'ma take it to the next level. Yo, I'm wildin'. Do the vex, devil know my styling. Held down, hellbound, gravity having me sinking. Thinking out my motherfucking man. Got a brother stuck in the jam. Drive my son to buck in the scam. Getting me, wetting me, crimson drenched. In my mind, son, I find hymns entrenched. A lot of mournful, faint humming. Tomorrow's dawn, I swear that shit ain't coming.
Like sometimes I run in a circle and run up to the mic and start around. And I'm a little winded and I'm a little,
That's what I'm talking about.
And sometimes, you know, I remember, you know, Stevie Wonder talking about when he did living in the city, you know, and when he said it, I was like, yeah, I can't believe Stevie went through this. His engineers, they kept saying that they didn't record the verses. And you saw Stevie, like this video of this, Stevie getting visibly upset. And that's why you hear Living in the City, towards the end, his voice gets all hoarse. That was by design with the engineers. Yeah. And sometimes you gotta, you know, it's like, especially if you don't nail the verse, and it's like,
you have to embody
I know what the verse sounds like in my head before I spit it. At least there's like an expectation. And then when you get there and you rock it, it's like, nope, not there. That line, nope, not there. And it's like, I go through it, I try to get it, you know, one take, but then if it's just like, all right, cool. These takes, it's good up to here. I punch in and it's just like, and that process is frustrating.
Sure.
But it helps.
Yeah.
It helps. You know, like shout out to One Take Hold, but some of my better shit has been like, I'm gonna get it. I'm gonna nail it. And then you do.
Yeah.
You know, but it takes you that build up of emotion, you know, where it's just like, you know, I'm not gonna get it. Fuck this shit. And then you get it. And it's like, yeah, that's what I was looking for. So you know, all errors and all, you know, imperfections, man, like that is the sauce. You know what I mean? Like that actually is what makes shit shine. That's the elbow grease that gets this shit to sound real right. So
if you had to give advice to someone trying to do this, you know, the process of writing and singing, what would you say would be the most elemental or helpful?
Well, I would say you really gotta appreciate the art form.
Right.
You know, I would start there. You know, I would hope that it's an invasive species for them. I mean, I've had dreams with whole rhymes.
Wow.
And wake up and it's like, oh, maybe able to get 2 lines out of it. Mm-hmm. But in the rhyme, I was rocking that shit.
Right.
And not shit I wrote before.
Right.
So it's like, I'm not saying everybody has to have that, but there has to be some level of intrinsic desire to get to it. And I'm not just talking, you know, money's cool, whatever, you know, that's all a part of it. As I got older, I'm like, I got kids, you know, I wish I had more money for it. I wish my business practices were better. And that's just, you know, maturity. Some people start with that and the art comes later. But I just hope there's a level of consuming that goes on. And just, you know, do what you feel works. You know what I mean? Do but pay attention to your process. You know what I mean? Like kind of analyze, reflect on your process. I've done that. It's taken me a while. And, you know, gun in my head, I could write 16 in a day. When I first started, I could write 16 in a day. But it was just like so much has happened in between that it's like it takes me, I have to go to my tools for me to feel like, all right, that's serviceable. You know, and some of them rhymes are going to be serviceable. Like, don't be too hard on yourself. You know, understand, like, you know, you got time to make a mistake and don't be too hard on your mistakes. Embrace that shit. And it might take you somewhere beyond where you was trying to get initially.
Take us to I'm Gonna Kill You. What was that even about?
I'm Gonna Kill You was partially like a real story.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was I was in school. One of my best friends to this day, Shay Dawson. he just asked me like, yo, what would happen? I think we were literally it was one night we were maybe in the BAU student center / with upstairs they had a radio station. We were just chilling talking. And he was like, yo, if somebody told you I was gonna kill you. And I was like, you know, you hear it growing up. You hear shit talking or whatever, but like the way he talked about it, it was far more I don't know, ominous.
Mm-hmm.
And he told me a story, and I took that story, and I, you know, became the person in the story. And in the real story, the dude ended up doing a home invasion and getting killed.
Okay.
But I decided I'm gonna make it the female who would get killed.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And you know, it was just about, at that time, the idea of being a young man and being prepared and ready for things that you really shouldn't have to be ready for. I think we're getting in a society where it's like, it's getting back to that point, but it's bigger than, you know, the context that we grew up in. It's scarier to me.
For sure.
But, you know, I've had numerous friends become victims of gun violence, and it's just like, you know, it was thinking about the prospect of aging or not aging. I'm Gonna Kill You, that's probably the greatest song I've ever written.
I seen honey in your watch, tried to hide the bulge and thinking of indulging in it all. I make it call out Breezy Brewin session of the flesh, and as the matter was discussed, this lust expressed through my reasoning will help the seasoning that rum roast. Gassing up that blunt, most incredible edible vision with precision, had a feeling for precision. She's with it, yo fucker hit it. I was slugging for the bleacher as a represented, had a bugging cause I reach a palm slam before I spread it on the Jeff and so on. Must I go on play by play of the Duke, and I'll save that shit for Luke. And as she walked me out of the oldest kid she know, drove up and said, next time I see ya, I'ma kill ya, and was jetty. Next time I see you, I'ma kill you, and was jetty. That's different, the paranoid feeling my first lift sent. But yo, I spoke as if the riff bent, know what I'm saying, oh hun. I pleaded, I needed bone in history to crack the mystery. Why this nigga was fuming, speaking up my tomb, and she said, please, don't even stress it. That's like the average cornball that I mess with, and I guess for being ghetto Aphrodite, half your mighty wanna be Mac, nigga stress the clippers. So I considered this, but also thought of his brothers on some ill shit, kill shit, coming out they face. Next time I see you, I'ma kill you, every jetty. Brothers on some ill shit, kill shit, coming out they face. Next time I see you, I'ma kill you, every jetty. I'm homebound, I feel the dome pound, I ponder beyond it because the jaws of money on my Swanson imitated Bronson. But fuck a death wish, all that murderous conversing. Could never have my person cruising in a hearse instead of on this uptown number 2. Still I must in slumber, who knows the foe's mind state. If it's fake things, Nathan's, then I could be sways on the strength, cause at any length, mad niggas see God and Santa Claus, gas to the 10th exponent. Fuck it, I see him, I'm a flex, don't it make sense? Heads not chilling in the room, I load the jammy, think about it for a second, then I grab it. Cause yo, I'd rather have it not needed than needed, and then not have it. You follow, I swallow ghetto pot for fear and shit. Like Honey said, don't stress it, just don't care and hit the streets like Mr. Hard Rock. But hard rocks become rock hard with rigor mortis, and respect is the commandment the divine trigger taught us. When a dying nigga caught us off guard and scarred, mental agony of all sorts. At least he made a handsome corpse, but me, I want my wrinkles and my hairline while receded. Honey beats me now, I wonder love bones needed. Fuck it, I'm out. Brothers on some ill shit, kill shit, coming out they face. Next time I see you, I'ma kill you, where was Jet? Brothers on some ill shit, kill shit, coming out they face. Next time I see you, I'ma kill you. Yo, check it out, I turned the call into a block. Peoples was looking wild rough, and I seen Shorty with the mouth by DTs with handcuffing. Getting closer to a gate, I figured that he wasn't bluffing. The honey I was with is strictly body bag stuffing.